What if I told you that not wanting something is as good as having it? That the goal of wealth is freedom, not just more money, and that the real currency of life is your attention. Today we unpack timeless wisdom from Naval Ravikant that every entrepreneur needs to hear. Ever since I heard Naval on a podcast recently, I've been recommending it to all my friends. The first reaction they have is, oh, it's 3 hours long. So today I want to do something a little bit different. For this episode, I'm just going to create, a reaction podcast in episode 1118. I'm going to go deep into the mind of Naval, the legendary investor, thinker, and one of the clearest voices on how to live well in a complex world. It really touched me, this episode. It put labels on things that I had always thought intuitively but didn't know how to describe. So I think Naval's lessons for entrepreneurs on freedom, wealth, and happiness are critical thinking points. He's been known as a philosopher, and he also believes we can all become philosophers. So I want to distill this conversation that Chris Williamson had with Naval on the modern wisdom. And I want to put it into clear insights that hopefully won't go for 3 hours and that you can apply directly to your business and your life. I don't even listen to podcasts. That's how significant it was for me to go and listen to this episode. So it doesn't matter whether you're building or scaling or just rethinking life. This should shift your perspective. In part one, Naval was talking about the game of life, about wealth, status, and freedom. And boy, this resonated with me. He said that money solves money problems, but it's freedom that solves life problems. That is so critical because everybody's really focused on the money. But if you want to aim to win the wealth game early, status is a zero-sum game that will exhaust you. And I see that all the time as a mentor. The reason to win the game is to be free of it. How profound and deep is that? I'll say that again. The reason to win the game is to be free of it. I think a lot of people are stuck in that game. I think wealth creation has become a really tacky subject that is omnipresent in everyone's mind. But wealth creation is about creating things society wants and then doing it at scale. So when you have fame and status, it comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of privacy, about endless requests, performance pressure, and you also start getting held to that public standard in private. So let fame be a byproduct, Naval argues. Your implicit knowledge is far greater than you realize. So you've got all the tools and internal awareness than you realize. You don't need other people to tell you how great you are. You don't need to go and acquire things and bling and flash and show off to get acceptance. It's actually already inside you. So for me, when I see entrepreneurs chasing status signals instead of focusing on value, I think they're distracted. The pictures of flashy cars and flashy houses and the inside of a private jet, oh my God. I mean, that is just so tacky and obvious, pictures of bling right in front of your face and stuff. It's so shallow. In part two, he talked about desire, focus, and the path to mastery. And he said you should be choosy about your desires. This is so critical. How many of your desires were put there by other people? I've talked about this before. How much of what you do is because you deep down know that it's the thing to do, or because someone told you that's what you should be doing? Again, you got to be so careful with what comes across your bow because it's very easy to be distracted and caught up in other people's game. So entrepreneurs who spread too thin get stuck. And that's why it's better to reject, disband, get rid of most distractions and just go deeper on the one thing or the two things that really matter. So every single choice carries hidden contracts of attention and energy. What a powerful thought that everything you choose, you're making a bargain for. If you choose to be a billionaire, you can probably kiss goodbye to a lot of family and social engagements and maybe the hobbies that you love because you're going to be playing that game. If you choose to be a big status bling celebrity, then you're saying goodbye to privacy. You can no longer walk down the street in West Hollywood without paparazzi following you and wanting to report on every single move. I actually quite like going to the supermarket and not being recognised. It's one of the joys of the kind of business model I have, is that I can knock about in shorts and a T-shirt and not really draw much attention. And I'm so focused on what I want to do that I'm not worried about playing other people's games. The antidote is to ruthlessly eliminate what doesn't matter. And this is where people don't spend much time. And when I do a diagnostic onboarding for my mentor clients, it comes up in the surveys. We're seeing every single time, actually, I see things being focused on that just don't matter. And when it's pointed out and we stop it, there's this huge feeling of relief. The weight goes off the shoulders. It's like the person who travels overseas with 3 massive suitcases when they could just go with a backpack. Why would you do it? Once you know, really you just need your essential. You need a change of underwear, some currency, a way to communicate, and, a cap and sunglasses, and away you go. Have some fun. If you need something, top up on the way. So getting rid of stuff, I think, is really the first step. Find what feels like play to you, but looks like work to others. That's profound as well. I've actually really emphasized having fun. I surf as much as I can. I drive my 4-wheel drive up the beach. I go fishing with my daughter on the river. I like to play. We go 10-pin bowling. We do swimming, rock climbing. All of these things are built into life because that's the whole point. That's where I want to put my attention. And it is play. But also when I'm coaching, it's a lot of fun engaging with small group of dynamic people who are really vibing and want value creation. They want something good for humans. They want to do good work. I love that. When I'm making surfboard videos for my surfboard channel in the garage, it's fun. It's play. I get to muck around with stuff and hit record, and the channels pay me, and also the providers are sending me equipment, which is wonderful. I just enjoy it. So build on your strengths and ignore the shiny objects. If you were to stop and pause for a minute and question how many of the things you're actually doing do you really love, and how much of it are you doing because someone said it's a good idea or it's a fad? Perfect test at the moment. I'm seeing this proliferation on socials of people creating a little toy packet of themselves with the GPT prompt. And sure enough, it just sweeps across the internet. It's basically, tell me that you are a shiny object, fad-drawn individual. When you're posting that, it means it came at the cost of something else. You said that's a good idea instead of going and building a new lead magnet or spending time with your family, right? Build on your strengths, ignore shiny objects. And Naval argues that success is not 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 iterations. I tend to agree with that. It's not just a metric of time, it's how many tries have you had to get it right. And I have this conversation fairly often with my 6-year-old daughter. When she's trying something new, like Connect 4, the game, she's struggling in the very beginning, getting beaten, and then has to work out a strategy and then slowly build on that. Everything's hard before it's easy. You need to iterate and find your thing. I think a lot of people have so many things on their plate that they're not actually getting deep enough in any of them to know if they even enjoy it or not. So in my case, I've changed the way that I do business a few times over the last 15 years since I've been online at least, but some things have remained core. I enjoy podcasting, so I'm still doing it. Here we are on episode 1118. I enjoy running a membership, so I've been doing that since 2009. That is 16 years of running a membership. I enjoy surfing. I've been able to do that for the last decade, a little bit over a decade, and really enjoy it, and I lean into it. Part 3 of the podcast, they talked about self-esteem and ethics, playing a long-term game. And of course, self-esteem is the root of all high performers. It's the absolute core. If you want high self-esteem, you've got to earn your own self-respect. And wow, doesn't that dovetail nicely into the episode I did with Jamin Fraser about self-permission, about trusting yourself, about coming from the core within, that everything you need is inside you and not externally. And this is where I love it when I'm drawing from different influences and they're arriving at a similar conclusion. Integrity means paying a short-term price for long-term trust. And this is the foundation of how I've always operated. I have to tell people the truth and how things are now, even though it might make them feel uncomfortable or unhappy initially. long term, they're so much better off for it. And this applies to raising animals, raising children, running a team, or looking after yourself. If you can have that high self-esteem, if you can delay things for the now, for the long term, then you're going to get better outcomes. Because in the long term, ethical choices compound. If you are a shady, short-term scammer or thief, it's just going to snowball very badly for you. So avoid the shortcuts that leave you with regret later. And that's one thing when you listen to retirees or the elderly population, if you were to interview them, they often don't talk about money. They talk about the regrets of the relationship they didn't pursue or the adventure they didn't go on. So play long-term games with long-term people. And I've always had a filter, good for humans, for the people that I work with. I want to surround myself with only really high caliber people, and the rest can fall off a cliff. It doesn't matter. Part 4 was about productivity, attention, and mental clarity. And I took such a strong action after this. Naval was saying attention is the true currency of life. I've heard this saying that time equals life. And I guess it sort of marries up with that. Delete distractions mercilessly, especially emails, social media, and guard your flow state. How many DMs do you get sliding in there with people trying to sell you shit? You're not really obligated to even respond to them. I just delete. I've gotten better at just turning them off. We get, 15 to 20 podcast guest requests every day in our help desk. I've told my team, originally we used to respond politely. Now we just turn it off. Right? They're outreaching us. That's their issue, not ours. And we're not under any obligation to provide a service to follow up and respond to all of these uninvited requests. So get a little bit hardcore with that when it comes to attention. As soon as I listened to this podcast episode, I went and deleted my scheduler. And the reason I listened to this podcast, I mentioned earlier that I do not listen to podcasts generally, is because my friend Dan Dobos, who I trust immensely as a taste maker, a style gauge, he sent me a quote, and he said one of Naval's friends said he never wants to have to be somewhere at any particular place at a particular time, and that made him think of me. And I've taken this to the furthest level possible. I'm probably clocking in about 10 to 15 hours a week in the business. I deleted my scheduler instantly after this episode. I'm not doing the scheduler dance anymore. I don't have a scheduler. I do my weekly group calls for Mentor. That is in the diary, and the rest of the week is mine. And if I want to do a podcast with someone else, then I'll just make it happen. I'll use their scheduler or whatever. But it's not part of my thing. And all of these DMs saying, I can get you 50 leads to call for your mentor program. Like, dude, I don't do calls. What are you talking about? And now I don't even respond because it's just like a scourge. It made me really rethink, where else can I find that focus? Naval was talking about how his wife doesn't book any appointments or schedules for him. He says Naval will decide on that. He doesn't go to weddings, funerals, or anything he doesn't want to do. He's talks about that in a future part of the podcast. So you've got to conserve that mental energy by being really choosy about where you want to spend your time. So scaling your time is critical. And you can use things like journaling or therapy or meditation to observe your mind objectively. For me, I've got so much time not working that I'm always thinking. Things come to me in dreams. They come to me in the shower, when I'm surfing, when I'm just walking, or even driving my daughter to school. I get lots of inspiration and ideas, and I just make a note about it. And then something that Naval said that really got into me was, if he gets excited about something or he wants to do something, he does it on the spot. Immediately, he dives in all resources. He doesn't put it in the diary later. It's sort of an argument against time blocking or partitioning, because who's to say when that block appears in a week's time that you're still motivated or excited or you even remember what it's about? And I don't know if you look at your browser history or your bookmarks or your GPT chats, I bet you can see a trail of unfinished loose ends. And so I really like that. Free up your schedule to just dive onto what is critical. And this is how I have been organically doing it, as someone who doesn't have a to-do list, who doesn't block my schedule out with calls, who enjoys a lot of free time. I really do lean into projects when I feel it. So I went down to my garage and recorded 4 surf videos in a row one Saturday. I just felt like this is the time. I'm really into it. I want to do it right now. And I just went into it and put that time into it. And it was amazing. I loved it. Same as I can batch 20 or 30 short videos when I feel really into it. I just set up the camera, I fire up the scripts and I do it. It's done. And then I release it from my mind. So conserving that mental energy is critical. And the idea here is that inspiration is perishable. So act on it immediately. Do things when you feel inspired and don't wait. And of course, you can't do that if your schedule's blocked out like a maniac. So if you're still doing sales calls or what are they called? Strategy sessions, I can help you get rid of those in my mentorship. Part 5 was authenticity and escaping competition. You escape competition through authenticity. Again, this really resonated with me. I've made that my pillar, my bedrock is integrity and authenticity. I just tell it like it is. I'm known to be direct. I want to speak the truth. I get the most incredible emails from people. I had a lady email me yesterday. She said, I'm going to rejoin your community for the 4th time. She said, I went and got a whole bunch of memberships in other places. I've spent lots of money. Sometimes they gave me plans that could have, in theory, worked. I started them, but they were so energy and time intensive that they didn't work for me. But with you, I get tailored, customized information that actually works. And then I had someone post almost exactly the same thing the next day. I love this community. This is in the connect level because James listens to me, understands my situation, and then answers me. And then I do it, and then it works. And that hasn't happened to me in the other places. So Naval talked about build something only you can build. I built a place where I can log in every day for the last 16 years and help people move forward. That's what I do. And the internet has really reduced the cost of status games, and it's a trap. You can go and buy fake followers. You can go and rent things and have amazing pictures, but it's all bullshit. So don't do it. Okay. Let go of the need for everyone else to think you're cool and you'll rise through. My lesson really is that authenticity, integrity, it brings customers back. 1/3 of my members have left and come back at some point in the last 16 years. Now, I've been running this test long enough to have that data. If you started your membership last week, that's probably not that useful for you. But the lesson is do amazing work, and even if people change seasons or need to do something else, they will often come back. So you should share your unique insights and experiences. For me, the podcast is a vehicle for that. Today, I'm sharing someone else's unique insights, but my twist on it or how that affected me. Now, if you've been a long-term listener of my podcast, you will have picked up a lot of the themes and trends that Naval talked about in the undercurrent of what I'm talking about, but he put it in such a crystallized way. And this one here, this spoke to me so much. Avoid copying others. People can feel inauthenticity instantly. I see this on a weekly basis. I coach someone and then their social media the very next day has an exact quote from my coaching. It's happened to me for more than a decade. There's been many, many instances of my website and my sales page. It's just human nature. See someone doing well, copy and put it out there. But that's not you. It's not authentic. It's not your own style. You're not customizing it for your audience and the value you bring to the people you help. You're just replicating me, and that's not going to be a winning strategy long term. That's a classic example of short-term bad trap. So the market rewards what's real. And as we slide into more of a technological era, and Naval was very clear, he is not one of those AI doomsdayers. And he also said AI is not super creative, and it's really not. It's great that we've got it and it's a handy tool, but it's not the end all be all. And really that just put an absolute spear through all these bullshit, hypey AI wannabe expert coaches out there who are just milking this for all it's worth. It's not that big. It's big, but not that big, according to someone who probably should know. Naval really knows about this stuff. If you can be authentic, if you can be human, if you can create connection, be a taste maker, a style maker. And again, it reflected previous episodes we'd had where we were talking with AI experts before, and they're saying that's what won't change with AI. Taste making, style, judgment, creativity. We're still there. Part 6 was about iterate, learn fast, and cut losses quickly. Again, this spoke to me. Sunk cost. People just die slowly because they hang on and hang on and hang on when they should leave. Like Captain Smith on the Titanic, he went down with it. He stayed on board, like probably could have got a lifeboat. Take opportunities quickly and bail out quickly. Iterate fast. Treat life as a series of small experiments. That's the game. I love that game. And remember, in previous episodes, I've talked about how the one skill that I had when I left my job was that I could innovate and that I could master change. One of the people I draw from, Peter Drucker, he said the only purpose of a business is to create and keep a customer, and you do that through marketing and innovation. And here we have Naval talking about innovation. If you can't decide, the answer is no. Such a simple rule. It really harps on what I heard from Derek Sivers as well. It's like hell yes or it's a no. Don't stay in bed on decisions for too long. Business models, products, or even relationships, once you know that it's not the one, let go of it. He talked about dating and how, unless you're very lucky, you're not going to find your wife in the first date. So you probably need to, try lots of experiments, and then when you get the right one, go. But when you know it's not a go, let go. And I'd say that for business models. People hang on too long. I just saw an update in an AI newsletter yesterday that WordPress now has an AI builder. You go to WordPress, you can build your whole WordPress website with AI. All of these WordPress dev shops who are asleep on this just got sideswiped, right? Don't stay in bed on decisions too long. Look out for compounding opportunities and go all in when you find them. And I often have this saying, make hay while the sun shines. It's an ages-old saying. It's not mine, but I'm often saying that in my mentorship. When I see a client going really well, I'm like, I'm going to put the throttle down because you're in the zone. So for me, that is where, constantly in the past, I've had to cut and I've changed my business model several times, but for example, I don't do many one-to-one coaching calls anymore because my mentorship is so powerful and gets such a profound result, and the community's so strong that it's kind of they're missing out. The people on a premium one-to-one are kind of missing out by not being in that group. So I've had to let go of that to move to the other. But like Tarzan in the jungle, you have to let go of a vine to swing to another one sometimes. You can't have them all. And as soon as you know, go. Part 7 was about legacy and living fully. And he sort of reiterated that life is short. It's just creeping up. I'm in my 50s, so it's become more aware to me than it might be for, say, my kids. Time is precious. And also, the older you get, the less tolerance or the less bandwidth you have for wasting your time. Like if you're mentally elsewhere or you're being dragged into things you don't want to do, you get more resistant to that the older you get. So I'm like a fort now with my time. Success is building a life you don't want to escape from. Pretty sure I've heard that one from someone else before. Who was it? Maybe it was Seth Godin or someone else, but it's an old saying, and he talked about this word trite a fair bit, him and Chris. A lot of the trite sayings are trite because they are true, and we've heard them a lot. And so, that little bit of vomit comes in the back of your mouth when you start saying these ones. But I think it is so true. And I've put an emphasis on lifestyle design. The reason I target the business models I do, recurring income through retainers, membership, and royalties, is it allows you to have that leverage without having to waste a lot of your life trying to get it. You don't have to spend all your time getting customers, for example, which is probably where most people spend all their time. And you don't need all your time spent on managing a big team, because my business models don't need a big team. So I have built my life the way I want, and then I get the business to fund it. In fact, it creates a surplus, and I take that out to even fuel the life even more. And that takes a while. Like, this isn't the first month or the first year. I'm decades into this, but I've got it figured out now. And the real currency of life is attention. Again, I've noticed this, people walking around phone in hand, and all the social media advocates, especially the Gary V's, they're like, phone's not a problem. It's just, if you think it's a problem, you're just not switched on. Yeah, it's a problem for a lot of people. There's a reason why the tech companies don't let their kids have devices, right? So I just put the device away. And in fact, I don't even know where my phone is right now. I lost it maybe half an hour ago somewhere in my house, and it hasn't drawn on me to go and find it. So it's about setting clear boundaries, bringing that attention back. I like this idea of not spending too much attention in the past, kind of wasteful and traumatic. Don't put too much attention in the future, but I do think about what life looks like in 5 or 10 years from now. And for me, it's going to be like, can I just hit repeat? All right, I like the way it's going. Healthy, happy, fun, doing meaningful stuff, food on the table. But recognize that wisdom must be lived, not memorized. This is so cool. I mean, it sort of speaks volumes to why university degrees don't give you the full picture. Everyone's obsessed with that and they end up with hundreds of thousands of student debt and a piece of paper, but there's no wisdom there because they haven't actually gone out and lived it. I've got whys through all my jobs in career and enterprise and selling and general management and the crazy shit that I used to have to do, like debt collecting, dragging someone's car down the driveway while they're screaming at me with a knife saying, you can't take that. And I'm like, well, actually I can and I will. When I was 20 years old, it was really life forming. You've got to get that wisdom in the trenches, or you get a mentor who's got a lot of wisdom and they can fast track you through the steps, but you have to go through it. Leave behind things that you're actually proud of that help others. I'm proud of all the work I've done and the testimonials I've generated and the lives I've changed, even from when I was a sales manager. I love seeing my salespeople get married, have kids, buy a house, fulfill their destiny. I love that when I'm mentoring someone, I like seeing them do a turnaround or growing their business or their family. So Naval's playbook's really simple but profound. If we wrap it up, choose your desires wisely, like you get to choose that. Build for freedom, not fame, and respect your attention and productize your unique gifts. Act on inspiration as soon as it arrives because internal freedom, not external validation, is the ultimate goal. That's what hit the hardest for me. Let's stop with all the bullshit and just love yourself from inside and you've got everything you need. If you want some help with this or you feel like I might be the guide, then come into my Connect membership. It's $10 for 10 days and then $59 a month. I believe it's much better value than all the low-ticket school memberships that spawned in the last few years. And if you want to explore building a business that does give you time and freedom, and if you're happy to work with someone who's not, bling, hustle, famous, then I might be the guy. We've also got the mentorship, and we meet every single week. And the people in there are just amazing. They really make life as high quality as it is. And I want to give credit to Chris Williamson's podcast, the Modern Wisdom podcast. It's the only episode I've listened to. And Naval, I've read Naval's books. I've listened to his audio books on long drives. I find his information very dense and there was a lot of big words in these podcasts and high level tone. I think it takes a lot of patience to get through that 3 hours. If you want more meat, go for it. You can find the original link to the episode in the show notes wherever I publish this episode 1118. They did a great job of extracting all those ideas, and I just wanted to make a little summary that I can send people to as a teaser. So I think Naval's rules for freedom are spot on, and good luck.
This is James Schramko.